Sarah checked her watch for the third time in 5 minutes. The cafe was crowded, and the gentle hum of conversations filled the air. Outside, raindrops tapped against the large windows, creating a soothing rhythm that contrasted with her growing anxiety. She had arrived 15 minutes early for her job interview, but now it was already 5 minutes past the scheduled time. Had she gotten the date wrong? Or perhaps the location? Just as she was about to call the company's office, a tall man with salt and pepper hair hurried into the cafe. His raincoat was dripping, and he looked around frantically until his eyes met hers. There was a moment of recognition, though Sarah was certain they had never met before. "I'm terribly sorry for being late," he said, approaching her table. "You must be Sarah Williams." Sarah nodded, a bit confused. "Yes, I am. And you are?" "James Anderson from Horizon Publishing," he replied, extending his hand. "The traffic was awful because of the rain." As they shook hands, Sarah noticed something odd about his business card. The company name was indeed Horizon Publishing, but the logo was slightly different from what she had seen on their website. "Shall we begin the interview?" James asked, pulling out a notebook. "Of course," Sarah replied, trying to hide her confusion. "I'm very interested in the editorial assistant position." James paused, looking at her curiously. "Editorial assistant? I'm afraid there must be some misunderstanding. We're looking for a graphic designer." Part 2. The mystery deepens. Sarah felt her cheeks grow warm with embarrassment. "But the email I received clearly stated editorial assistant for today at 2 p.m. at Café Lumière." James checked his own phone and showed her an email. "See here? Graphic designer position, 2 p.m. Café Lumière." Looking at his screen, Sarah noticed the email was sent to someone named Sarah Williamson, not Sarah Williams. A case of mistaken identity. "I think I understand what happened," Sarah explained. "My name is Sarah Williams, not Williamson. It seems we've had a mix-up." James's expression changed from confusion to realization. "Oh, I'm supposed to be meeting Sarah Williamson, and you're waiting for someone else from Horizon Publishing." "Exactly," Sarah nodded. "What are the chances of 2 different positions at the same company at the same cafe on the same day, with candidates who have such similar names?" "Quite a coincidence," James agreed with a smile. "Well, since I'm here, would you like some coffee while you wait for your interviewer?" Sarah appreciated his kindness. "That would be nice, thank you." As James went to order their drinks, Sarah's phone buzzed with a new email. It was from Horizon Publishing. "Dear Miss Williams, we regret to inform you that Mr. Thompson has fallen ill and won't be able to conduct your interview today. We would like to reschedule for tomorrow at our office. We apologize for any inconvenience." When James returned with their coffees, Sarah showed him the email. "Well, it seems I came here for nothing." Part 3. An unexpected opportunity. "Not necessarily," James said thoughtfully, stirring his coffee. "You know, it's interesting that you mentioned the editorial assistant position. Our editorial department actually is looking for someone with good language skills, though we haven't advertised the position yet." Sarah perked up. "Really? Well, I have a degree in English literature and 2 years of experience at a small publishing house." "Impressive," James nodded. "What made you apply to Horizon specifically?" Sarah didn't hesitate. "I've been following your company's growth for years. I particularly admired the way you've balanced traditional publishing with digital innovation. The New Voices series you launched last year to promote diverse authors was brilliantly executed." James looked pleasantly surprised. "You've certainly done your research. Not many people know about the New Voices initiative unless they're closely following the industry." Their conversation flowed naturally from there. What had started as an awkward mix-up was turning into an impromptu interview. Sarah found herself explaining her career goals and sharing ideas she had for potential improvements to their editorial workflow. "You know," James said after nearly an hour of conversation, "Sarah Williamson never showed up. but I'm glad you did. Would you be interested in coming to our office tomorrow to meet with the editorial team? I can't promise anything, but I think they'd be interested in speaking with you." Sarah couldn't believe her luck. "I would love to. Thank you for this opportunity." As they exchanged proper contact information, Sarah realised that sometimes the best opportunities arise from unexpected situations. The next day, Sarah stood in front of the impressive Horizon Publishing building in downtown. Unlike the casual atmosphere of the cafe, the glass and steel structure projected professionalism and success. Taking a deep breath, she pushed through the revolving doors and approached the reception desk. "Good morning," she greeted the receptionist. "My name is Sarah Williams. I have a meeting with James Anderson and the editorial team." After checking her name in the system, the receptionist handed her a visitor's badge. "Please take the elevator to the 7th floor. Mr. Anderson's assistant will meet you there." The elevator doors opened to reveal a bustling, open-plan office. People moved purposefully between desks, and the walls were lined with bookshelves displaying Horizon's published works. A young woman approached Sarah with a warm smile. "Miss Williams, I'm Lisa, James's assistant. He asked me to show you around before your meeting." As Lisa guided her through the different departments, Sarah absorbed every detail. The design team was working on cover art for upcoming releases, while marketing specialists discussed promotional strategies for a soon-to-be-launched cookbook series. The environment was exactly what Sarah had hoped for: creative, dynamic, and collaborative. "And this is our editorial department," Lisa explained as they entered a large room with several clusters of desks. "This is where you would be working if things go well today." Sarah noticed how the editors seemed focused but not stressed, occasionally stopping to discuss ideas or ask for opinions. It was the kind of professional atmosphere she had always dreamed of being part of. Part 5. The Interview. Lisa finally led Sarah to a conference room where James was waiting with 2 other people. "Sarah, glad you could make it," James greeted her. "Let me introduce you to Margaret Chen, our chief editor, and Daniel Okafor, who heads our fiction department." The formal interview began, but it felt more like a continuation of yesterday's conversation. Margaret asked insightful questions about Sarah's editorial philosophy, while Daniel was particularly interested in her experience with different genres. "One last question," Margaret said. "If you were to join our team, what would be your approach to balancing traditional editing values with the changing demands of modern readers?" Sarah considered the question carefully. "I believe the fundamentals of good storytelling never change. Compelling characters, meaningful conflicts, and authentic emotions will always resonate with readers. However, the way stories are packaged and delivered must evolve. Today's readers expect diversity, relevance, and sometimes more immediate pacing. The key is to preserve the heart of good literature while adapting to contemporary sensibilities and formats." The 3 interviewers exchanged impressed glances. "Well, Sarah," James said, "we typically take some time to deliberate after interviews, but I think we're all in agreement here. We would like to offer you the position of junior editor in our fiction department." Sarah was stunned. "Really? That's wonderful. Thank you so much for this opportunity." "Your qualifications are excellent," Margaret explained, "but what really impressed us was your passion for publishing and your clear understanding of our company's vision. Sometimes the right person comes along in the most unexpected way." 6 months later, Sarah adjusted her desk lamp and leaned back in her chair, taking a moment to appreciate how much had changed in half a year. Her workspace was now personalised with sticky notes, manuscript pages, and a small plant that James had given her as a welcome gift. Her first major project as junior editor was about to be published, a debut novel she had discovered in the submissions pile and championed through numerous meetings. The author, a promising young writer from a rural community, had been overlooked by other publishers. "Reminiscing about your journey?" a voice asked. It was James, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Is something like that," Sarah smiled, accepting the coffee. "I was just thinking about how different my life would be if I hadn't gone to that cafe 6 months ago." James nodded. "By the way, you'll never guess who I interviewed yesterday for a position in the marketing department." "Who?" Sarah asked. "Sarah Williamson." They both laughed at the coincidence. "Is she qualified?" Sarah asked. "Very," James replied, "but she doesn't have your intuition for stories. Speaking of which, the advance reviews for your novel are coming in. They're overwhelmingly positive." Sarah beamed with pride. "That's the author's achievement, not mine." "Don't underestimate your contribution," James said. "A good editor knows when to step in and when to step back. You have that instinct naturally." As James left for his next meeting, Sarah turned to the window. The city skyline was beautiful in the afternoon light. She thought about the chain of coincidences, misunderstandings, and opportunities that had led her here. Sometimes the most significant moments in life come from the strangest meetings and the most unexpected circumstances. For Sarah, a simple mix-up had changed everything, proving that sometimes getting lost is the best way to find exactly where you're supposed to be. Vocabulary notes for English learners. Part 1, frantically, in a hurried, anxious manner. Recognition, the action of identifying someone or something. Approaching, coming near or nearer to someone or something. Part 2, misunderstanding, failure to understand something correctly. Coincidence, a remarkable concurrence of events without apparent causal connection. Reschedule, arrange for an event to take place at a later time. Part 3, impromptu, done without being planned or rehearsed. Initiative, the ability to assess and initiate things independently. Workflow, the sequence of processes through which a piece of work passes. Part 4, impressive, evoking admiration through size, quality or skill. Bustling, full of activity purposefully, with a useful purpose or intention. Part 5, insightful, having or showing an accurate understanding of someone or something, resonating, evoking or suggesting images, memories and emotions. Deliberate, engage in long and careful consideration. Part 6, championed, publicly supported or fought for intuition, the ability to understand something instinctively. Underestimate, estimate something to be smaller or less important than it actually is.